Facebook, I want y'all to come on in. We got an exciting discussion tonight. This is our second week of leadership lessons from the front line. And so I've been looking forward. I'm going to give y'all about a minute or so to get in. When you see us go live, go ahead and jump in. As you come in, please share. Share the video. It should be open. It should be public on Facebook. And so when you come in, hit share, start a watch party if you would. Come on in. This is a discussion by educators for educators, but not just for educators. We also want to invite parents in. We also want to invite students in into this dialogue. We have an hour set to kind of interact with these three professionals, these great minds and these magnificent leaders. And I'm excited about their presence and I'm excited about yours. So come on into this Facebook Live, start a watch party, go ahead and share it, text, inbox, any teacher or educator you know, any parent struggling right now during this digital learning day that we're in, these learning days, I should say, go ahead and let them know about it as well. By quick introduction, my name is Daryl Hall, and I'm delighted today to lead this dialogue about leadership lessons from the front line. During this time of crisis, this COVID crisis, has rocked our world and it's rocked countless industries in our world. And so when you think front lines, I don't want you to just think about the medical workers, though we should be keeping them in prayer. I want you to think about each industry, how this war on COVID has created a front line in that industry where a battle is taking place over what the industry was before and what it's shaping up to be now and what it's projecting to be in the future. And so one of those major industries is education. We know children have been home now in Georgia for at least 4 weeks. They've been quarantined, different learning days, all of this stuff we're going to talk about, the implications of it, the stress of it, the wisdom from it. And these leaders are here today to share. Let me introduce my panel to you today. I'm delighted to have them. I'm going to start first with Dr. Anyee Payne. She is an elementary school elementary school principal. She is a blessing to me because when I was working on my doctoral degree, she was one of my three friends. I just picked up the phone and just asked them for advice to lead me and guide me, and her wisdom really helped me keep pulling my hair out during that dissertation period. And so I'm thankful for her and for the leadership she offers. Right now, she's an elementary school principal, but she's also served as well in middle schools. Let me also introduce Serena Dorsey. Serena Dorsey is representing. She has a Master of Business Administration, and she's the executive director of an awesome learning center, early learning center that starts from, I believe, about 6 weeks or such, all the way up to pre-K. And so she's in that capacity now for a multitude of years. And I've been able to just marvel at her leadership as she builds her team, as she draws families to that great school, and as she leads those families to help educate their children. So Serena is here. We're excited to have her. She's representing early learning age gap, and those educators. We have Dr. Payne representing the elementary school towards middle. And then we also have Travis Joshua, who has a specialist in education. He is a principal just like Dr. Payne. He has been a lead principal in middle school and in high school. And so we're excited to have him here to share with us as well. He's one of my friends. And you know, we are rivals when fall comes around because of our infamous fantasy football league that we both participate in. And so I'm glad to have my brother and glad to have my friend here. Thank you so much. How y'all feeling tonight?
Feeling great.
Doing well.
Glad to be here. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well.
Awesome. Listen, I am so excited that you all obliged to share these few minutes with me and with our gathered audience to just talk about some of the leadership lessons you've learned as educators. And so we'll start first with this question. In my opinion, it takes commitment to be an educator, and to be a good one requires that you have a calling. So when it comes to the calling and the commitment required to be an excellent educator, how has this time away from your staff, faculty, campuses, and your students? How has this time renewed your sense of calling to
Well, I would say for me, it's really caused me to be more innovative in the way that I engage with not only my students, but my staff as well. And so, Zoom has been our very good friend. I've been able to collaborate with my colleagues and try to replicate the things that we have had going on in school virtually. So, faculty meetings, leadership team meetings, all of those things have been, either live stream or Zoom meetings. The way that we communicate with our parents, calling them more, emailing, and then it transitions to me becoming an advocate for students, making sure that those who are without technology, that we're tapping in with them, that we provide wraparound services for them and the support of counselor and social worker. So it's really caused me to be an advocate and to just garner partnership, make sure that the students aren't going without for too long.
I like that when you talk about the wraparound service and the advocate for those with. I want to hear from Travis and Serena first about
Yeah, Daryl.
calling, and then I'm gonna come right back to you on that, Dr. Payne. Go ahead,
Daryl, I'll jump in there. When you talk about, it really being a sense of calling, I think educators by nature are people persons. Having said that, we value the sense of
Mhm.
community. And this has really
Mhm.
allowed us to cherish that which has been taken away from us for
Mm,
this point in
Mhm.
time. Uh, we miss the sense of community. We miss the sense of camaraderie, not only that we have with our work family, but that we have with students as well. Uh,
mm,
being able to see those bright and shining faces in the building on a daily basis, I think for me that has been the most difficult piece of all of this. So, it has a new sense of wanting to get back place where we're in the building and you can give those high fives, you can give those pats on the back and those words of encouragement. Yes, it's fine that we've been doing those things through these digital means and platforms, but these students really need to be loved on physically, mentally, spiritually, and that's what I miss the most.
mm.
That's why I'm very anxious to just get back into the building to see all of our students.
Wow.
That is exactly the route I want to take because I'm so hands-on and I'm so, I love people. And so to see the children, to hug them, to greet the parents in the morning. I'm the first one in the building in the morning. So I'm the first face they see, to have that sunshine in the morning and to the children run in my office and they hug me, I miss that. I did a live Zoom with them and just see their face and they're like, Mrs. Dorsey, I miss that tremendously. Just being home, not seeing them has been a huge challenge. I
Wow.
miss the staff. I miss the families. I miss the children, being able to touch and hug them. And it's definitely a calling. And so when you pull away from it, it causes you to assess, do I really miss it?
Mm,
Do I really want it? And you're thinking, oh my, I miss it every day. I miss it every day.
wow.
So it's definitely my calling.
Wow. Listen, that's a blessing because if you have any students like the student I used to be when I was wreaking havoc in the Atlanta public school system, listen, my prayers are with you. But just to hear your love and passion for the students, even as high-ranking leaders, the highest-ranking leader in the building, is so reassuring. So, Dr. Payne, you kind of got towards this, and I want us to spend a little time, if we could, talking about this. In my opinion, disparity in access to quality education is a real issue in America, even when there is no pandemic. Depending on your zip code, depending upon your socioeconomic status, depending upon even your race. In some ways, there's a disparity in quality education. So my question is this: in your estimation, how has this crisis exacerbated that problem? How is it worse now than it even was before the crisis?
Right. So, as educators and just in general, we know that there is an achievement gap. And a lot of times that achievement gap is attributed to race. Um, we have heard the data supports it that white students often outperform African American students. Specifically in the city of Atlanta, there's a tale of two cities. As progressive as the city is, and we have a lot of upwardly mobile African Americans in the city of Atlanta, our students really suffer. And so not only is it an achievement gap, there's a poverty gap. So the median income for African American family is 17,000 compared to that of a white family whose median income is 170,000. So we're talking about 10 times more. So there's an achievement gap, there's a poverty gap, and then there's also just a digital divide. So now what this pandemic has done is pretty much just shed the light on access, equity, all of those factors. Many of our students did not have technology, so we did have a huge technology distribution. Many of our students do not have food. They look to the school as a source to eat, so we had a food distribution as well that is ongoing. So what it does is just shine the light on what we work through every day. And so even if our students have technology, a lot of our students don't even have internet access. And so then we have to provide internet access. And then after we do that, we have to provide training and education for our parents on how to assess and log on. So this pandemic has really just shined the light on the disparity and the inequities that we face in our city and in our culture.
Daryl, if I may
That was
piggyback,
definitely
if I can piggyback on one of the things that Dr. Payne mentioned in terms of this digital divide, one of the things that I would comes from this pandemic is the sense of a parent reprioritizing, if you would, what's important and what the needs are, even as it relates to Christmas gifts and birthday gifts for children. You know, perhaps it's time that we kind of rethink the gaming systems and the designer shoes and things of that nature, and put some dollars behind or investment in more technology resources so that if and when this were to occur again, because, you know, as it stands as of today, we are in most school systems still unsure if we will be able to have face-to-face instruction come August. So, you know, it would be my hope that we would learn a lesson in this pandemic of making the main thing, and perhaps reprioritizing some of the things that we place a emphasis on.
That's good.
I agree with that.
that is definitely so true with Dr. Payne and with Travis as well has said, because one of the things I was going to talk about, the other challenge is parents having the ability, to instruct them. Parents have become teachers now. And so having
Great
the
piece.
ability and the withal or the energy to instruct them. We're at a time where it's like you are the teacher.
Yeah.
The teacher has been removed. You are the teacher. So while parents are still trying to stay afloat, now they have this added task that they didn't have before.
Right.
They're the teacher. And if you have a little one, a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, it's not as easy because they want attention. They're used to having somebody in their face all day. And so, parents just have their home, everybody's homeschooled. Everybody's homeschooled. So parents really having the ability to teach them. And when that doesn't happen, learning stops.
Yeah.
Well, and
Learning just stopped. And what they did know.
Go ahead, Serena. You can finish.
And once the learning process stops, it's almost like when you go on summer break. And if you're not continuing to go over academics every day, when you come back in the fall, there has to be a review. You have to review those things you've learned because it has laid dormant.
Yeah, that's good.
Daryl, I was just going to jump in there and say that, this is, again, goes back to the achievement gap, goes back to the technology literacy gap, goes back to the digital divide, all of the things Dr. Payne mentioned in her first answer, because again, while parents are the first teachers, we typically see that it is parents that are coming from lower socioeconomic places and status that they are unable to be at home during the pandemic. We're talking parents of students of single parent households, or even if it is a two parent household, working jobs in which if they don't work, then there's no income coming in. So mom and dad are in a situation where they can't be home to be the teacher. And that further increases or sees the separation between higher achieving students and lower achieving students in terms of academic performance.
All right.
That's good. Listen, I just made our chat public. So for those who are just now joining us, thank you so much. For those who couldn't get on, my apologies. Thank you for your patience. But I can tell you that we're already knee deep into a really good dialogue, and you missed the best part of it yet. We're just at the point where we're discussing the gaps have been brought to our attention: socioeconomic, achievement gaps, poverty gaps, digital divide, and the implications of that upon education that with students not being able to come to the building. It's kind of where we are in this conversation. Serena, you brought up something good that I want to, use as a bridge into our next, step. So you mentioned how at this point the digital learning days are taking place, and the parents are now the teachers, and I can testify to that. 3 middle school, elementary school, and one who is in pre-K 4. What advice, as a director of an early learning center, what insight, any resources could you give to empower a parent of a little one who still needs to learn to kind of help us through this season?
Absolutely. If you have a little one, and I would say this up until the age of at least 5, they need routine and consistency. They need to be doing the same thing every day at the same time. And one thing is key with them. If you can, I'm sure a lot of parents may not be able to draw, but if you can get a poster board, draw and write out a schedule for them. Put pictures next to everything. This is nap time. This is lunch time. This is work time. This is art. They need to be able to see what's happening. And if you do the same thing every day at the same time, be consistent with them, your day will go so much smoother. They have to know what's happening. If they don't know, they're going to come with a plan. And that's where the frustration comes. If you don't have a plan for them, they're going to give you one. It's just going to be 10,000 of them. Every 5 minutes, it'll be a new plan. So you have to come to them with a plan. This is what we're going to do today. Come on, bring them on the carpet. Let them sit there. Hold it up. This is what we're going to do today. And show them. And they're going to be so excited. Every 10 minutes, just do something different. And it doesn't have to be anything long. It doesn't have to be anything strenuous. Clap your hands. Put on YouTube. Sing a song. There's so many online free sources for them. ABC Mouse, PBS Kids. Go there and just give them different activities. Print coloring sheets. Let them color. But consistency and routine is the key for little ones.
Okay. I like that. Thank you. And you know what? It took me a few weeks into this quarantine to realize that I Our 4-year-old. No, he's 5. Our 5-year-old, he's in pre-K 4 because he had a late birthday. It took me a few weeks into the digital learning to realize his schedule was thrown off because around 11:30, he would jump into like a zombie / crybaby. And I was just like, son, go take a nap. And it's almost like his nap was like
Which one?
what he needed at that time. And it kind of took us a minute to get on that. So thank you for that. Little need consistency. All right, that's the main thing. If we don't give
They need consistency and routine and visuals.
that's good. Okay.
And
Visuals.
Dr. Hall, that's
Okay.
really the same. That's been the theme that I've had with my staff. When we meet, when I send out memos, it's engagement and consistency. That's the same message that I'm providing for the teachers, because we have just really snatched away that constant in the student's life. So providing them that consistent engagement, making sure that they're
Yes.
logging on, making sure that they have that routine, that they have enrichment in art and PE and music and Spanish. All of those things are
Yes.
in our schedules, because we want to make sure that they stick to their routine and they have some type of consistency to hold on to
Yes.
throughout this process.
That's good. Your statement of
Absolutely.
you encouraging your staff and faculty to help them with that. How has your leadership role as a principal been impacted how are you managing to lead students who are learning remotely and a faculty that is working remotely? What is that dynamic like?
All right. So it's kind of funny that you say that, because within the walls, we had, as you mentioned, I've been an administrator at this particular school for 8 years, an AP, and then transitioned to principal. So there were structures and systems in place, and the school pretty much ran like clockwork. And so we had to kind of pivot on the dime and transform from a traditional setting to virtual setting. So that really caused us to have to pivot and say, you know what, this is not a snow day. We're not sending home packets and we're going to come back. So we really had to revamp that. And also just to replicate as much as possible. So we still have faculty meetings every week. The teachers still plan together every week. So just remaining consistent and just replicating as much as possible what we did in a traditional setting, and just transition it to virtual. And just for our climate and culture, just being flexible, because our teachers and staff, we also take the mantra compassion over compliance. And so we have to kind of temper that, and to know that our teachers are not just teachers, they're mothers, they're fathers, they're grandparents, wives, caretakers. And so they're multitasking, making sure the students have exactly what they need with what their families need. So just really just balancing that accountability with, empathy and support. So it just causes us to kind of pivot and take care of ourselves as the basis first.
That is so
Daryl,
good.
can I
That's a
jump in?
leadership lesson. Hold on, Travis. I'm gonna let you. I definitely want to hear from you on this too. But that's compassion over compliance is a leadership lesson. So you understand, as a principal, you have a job to lead your faculty, but being sensitive to the fact that your faculty also have a plethora of responsibilities thrust on them in the moment, and being able to be sensitive to that's magnificent leadership. So we applaud you. Travis, please, man, jump in on this.
Yeah, I really wanted to jump in on this one. Coming from a place that did not have digital learning days in place when we had snow days, I believe that the counties that did have digital learning days in place of the snow days, when there was a snow day, they were at a slight advantage in terms of what to do come day one, when schools were no longer going to be in session after March 13th. But having even those that did have digital learning in place already, or those that were doing digital learning for the first time, I really want to say shout out to all those that work remotely. Uh, my spouse works remotely, and here's why I say that, and just a real quick personal antidote. We oftentimes think that those that work from home don't work as hard or may not put
Don't
in
work.
the same
Yes.
number of time. They are sitting on the couch, taking a few phone calls here and there, watching TV, doing laundry, getting dinner ready, all of those things. And that could not be farther from the truth now that we're actually living it. So for me, and in terms of my staff, it was about realistic expectations. Out of the gate, teachers were trying to go uh, as hard, if not harder, than they went during the normal school day. And I think part of the reason why that was occurring was because they were trying to, quote unquote, justify the fact that, or validate the fact that, hey, they are working. You know, I'm earning this paycheck even if I'm at home. And you find yourself, you know, in Zoom meetings, in collaborative team meetings, providing direct instruction to students, providing an opportunity for office hours for students to ask you questions, emailing parents back and forth that they need assistance in how to figure out or work out a math problem. And it became so overwhelming so quick. So after about a couple of weeks, what I decided to do was say, hey, let's have some more realistic expectations. How do we break this up? And we actually went to a schedule to where teachers were providing instruction based on math and science on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then English and social studies on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then meeting in their teams, in their collaborative teams on those other days so as to not be overwhelmed themselves or even overwhelm the students. Most classes are 50 to 60 minutes in length, and out the gate, you had teachers assigning lessons that were far in advance of 50 minutes. So that's just one of the things that I think I put in place and wanted to put in place was the notion of having realistic expectations. Sometimes less is more. And then I appreciate what Dr. Payne said in terms of compassion over compliance.
That's good. I think you got a little one trying to get your attention right now.
Yeah, she was.
Okay, tell her let us borrow daddy for 30 more minutes. Man, you were on the subject. You started off saying that you were in an environment during snow days that didn't even have a procedure in place for digital learning days. I think this is a part of being on the front lines of this fight as a leader, because all of us are having to reassess the virtual capabilities of our organizations, whatever field we're in. And so having to start, in your case, from nothing and then create something on a dime, I can only imagine has been stressful in some ways and also rewarding in some others. Man, I appreciate your shout out for people who work from home, because in working on my doctorate, my boss gave me the freedom to do just that, and I realized it will create more work. But I would tell you this: as you are growing in your appreciation for people who work from home, parents are growing in our appreciation for educators who teach our
The
children.
teachers. Mm-hmm.
So let me pause right now. And on behalf of every parent on this live feed, let me give y'all. We got 3 and they hours. They hour 3.
Thank
And it's
you.
like, Lord.
Yes.
So I guess my question to you as educators is this. During this pandemic, we're realizing as parents, I am responsible, I would say, for 75 to 80% of my child's education during this quarantine. And that is reminding me of my responsibility for them. During normal times, I should be responsible for their education. So my question to you is this. As an educator, what percentage of the responsibility do you feel like is yours and belongs to the home when it comes to effectively educating students?
Clarify now.
I'll start first.
Under normal circumstances.
I think now is flipped, and so we kind of see the world y'all been living in. So now during the crisis, what do you think the percentage is? And should things go back to quote unquote normal, what do you think the percentage will be?
I'll jump in real quick, and I'll stay on the side of the preschool side. For me, I've always used this concept. When they're with us, it's 100% because they're little. So we have 100% of their supervision. We have 100% of their engagement. We have 100% of their learning. When they're with the parent, it's 100%. And so that's why I always use the term, we partner with parents. We partner with you because once we hand them over, you have them 100%. You have 100% to reinforce. You have 100% to engage them. You have 100% to supervise them. Now, of course, once they get a little older, that percentage may change. But from 5 on below, it's 100, 100, 100.
That's good.
Yeah, I would say that it definitely takes a village, right? So we have just found out that we definitely need partnerships. We need, like you said, partnering with the parents, a homeschool connection. But it's 100% my responsibility to make sure that I have the most effective teachers in front of them. It's 100% my responsibility to make sure that they have access, they have exposure and experiences. And because first of all, I just want to say shout out to my staff because they are awesome. They have the passion, compassion. They love our students, and they have them at the core. So everything they do is really for them. But it's our responsibility to make sure that they have exposure, access, and experience. But because we're a STEM certified school, we've been working on these tenets all along. One of the elements of being a STEM certified school is taking ownership of your learning. And so our students have been learning early on what it means to take ownership, what it means to complete tasks and projects and solve problems. All of that is a part of STEM. And so this is actually their learning lab in action where they're able to take everything that they've learned and put it into action. And our parents as well are taking responsibility because they're making sure that they log on, they're making sure that they follow the schedule. And I would say that prior to the pandemic, most parents kind of left it up to the school. We trust you. You have proven that you care about our students, so we're leaving it up to you. But now this is definitely a partnership. Parents are communicating more, asking what should they be doing, how should they do it, and I think this is a lesson that can be taken back. When things do go back within the walls, for that collaboration and partnership. So I would say it's the responsibility of all of us to make sure that the students are learning all they can.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes.
What do you think, Travis?
Well, Daryl, I mean, it's not going to be a popular answer. While I agree that it definitely is a partnership and should be a partnership, a lot of the things that we brought up in the first segment in terms of just the divide, the achievement gap, things of that nature, speaks to the fact that, there really isn't someone at home that can dedicate the time to make it solely their responsibility or even partner as much as they perhaps desire to. So, again, I want to give a shout out to my staff because I've always led staffs in Title I environments that felt as though it is the burden that we bear as educators in Title I schools, that we are definitely the ones responsible from the time in which that student steps off of the bus until the time we put them back on the bus in the afternoon. And we cannot worry about what happens at home, whether it's good or bad, regardless of how much their parents are able to assist them. we can only control what is in our sphere of control, and that is those school hours. So we shoulder the burden. We shoulder the burden to say, hey, you know what? It is our responsibility. As the principal of the schools that I've led, I always say that my money is made, that uh, I'm doing my job when I am hiring the best teachers to put in front of students.
Yeah.
It is my job to engineer learning experiences and to engineer learning environments where students can thrive and be successful, regardless of what may be going on at home. I can't. I oftentimes encourage teachers be mindful about what you send home for homework, because again, there's a difference between the student that goes home and has someone to assist and the student that goes home and is preparing meals for their younger siblings. There's
Yes,
going to be a difference. So, you know, again,
yes,
I encourage the staff to shoulder the burden of, hey, it is our responsibility. And if we don't give them what they need,
yes,
then we can't assume that they're going to get it.
That's good. Listen, you two as principals,
yes,
you've already kind of taken the privilege of shouting out your staffs. And so to every educator that is watching, if you're on the staff of either of these three leaders who have served with either of these three leaders, we salute you and we thank you so much for your support. My question to each of you is,
yes.
what do you want your team to do as a leader? If you had a private moment with them where you could really speak your heart for a few minutes to encourage them and pour into them during this time, how would you do that? What would you say?
I would just say that I just appreciate you all so much. Not only just now, but just overall, the support that the staff have given me is invaluable. Like they are always there, no matter what. They're able to take on the task. We collaborate a lot. I don't work in a silo, so I always reach out to them, and I listen and I reflect to see, how can we make things better? What can we do differently? So I would just say that I appreciate you so very much that all that have done and are doing, because many of our teachers, we talk about the students, but some of our teachers were not prepared to go virtually, where they can transform or even have a space in their homes. No one goes home with each other. So we don't know what their circumstances are. So
Yeah,
I would just say that, for them to flip and provide our students with consistency and rigorous instruction, I'm just so very appreciative and just grateful to serve alongside with some phenomenal people who have children at the core and want to do whatever they can to make their situation better.
yeah,
And so I just want to say, just, breathe, relax. When you can, take care of yourself, take care of your home, but continue to push for children, because we really are their anchor. And I just serve alongside with people who know that and who give of themselves 100% every day. I couldn't ask for a better staff. I really couldn't.
that's what's up.
You know,
I
Daryl,
I
go
would
ahead, Serena.
definitely.
Go
You
ahead,
can go
Serena.
ahead.
Go ahead, Serena.
I would definitely piggyback off Dr. Payne. I always say, my team is amazing. When you deal with little people, you have to like become their parent. They're not even looking at them as teachers. They're looking at them as my other mom. Yeah, so and they treat them like that. My teachers are very compassionate. They hold them when they're crying. They change them. They rock them. They read to them. They feed them. They hold their hand. They put their coats on, take their coats off. So they are their other parent. And my staff is amazing. I pour into them, they pour into me. We're still, even though right now I've actually had to lay them off, they are still sending activities to the parents. They're still connecting with them. They're still sending birthday videos. Every child has a birthday. They're sending birthday videos to them. They are amazing. So I love them tremendously. I miss them. And I definitely would say, take care of your families. Take this time too to take care of your children. You know, you're home with them, read to them. Do to your children what you've done to everybody else's child. Read to your child, hold your child, hug your child, you know, hold their hand. So yeah, my staff is amazing, but I would definitely say do to your children now what you give out every day.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, powerful.
Go ahead,
Daryl,
Travis.
I'm going to sum, all of it up this way. People don't buy what you do, but they buy why you do it. So the
Hmm.
thing that I would encourage my staff is just to remember their why, remember their purpose. Because again, when you think about your why, when you think about your purpose, why it is you do what do, you can keep getting up every day and doing that thing that you've been called to do. Uh, that gives me a sense of purpose. That gives me a sense of passion. So I would want to instill that same thing and speak that same thing, into the staff. Uh, it's really no secret, Daryl, what your day job is. So I think it's appropriate also to remind individuals what it says in Galatians, and it's don't grow weary in doing good.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the proper time, you know, we're going to reap a harvest through all of this if we just
Yes.
faint not.
Yes.
So we have
Yeah.
to keep on
Yes.
doing what we're doing because we're doing good work. We're doing what we've been called to do. We need to remember what our why is, and it's those children, those that are coming behind us. We all went into education to make a difference in the lives of young people, and that's what I would want to remind all educators of during this particular pandemic.
That's good. And I know they can feel your heart. I can. I don't even work for either of you. But as a leader, it's so apparent that you care way more about position and power and control, but that you actually have a heart for the team. And I know many of your team members are on. So I'm so glad you had a chance to share from your heart. I would like to hear as well. I'm just interested because you are leaders, you're educators. I can imagine, like me, you're probably very cerebral. You probably are in your head a lot, strategizing, forecasting, thinking, reading, writing. So, during this time, how are you, in one way, how are you staying sharp as a leader? Continue to stay sharp to lead your faculty and your students. But then, what hobbies are you enjoying to kind of help you as a leader decompress and get out of your head? We'll start with you, Travis, on that.
Wow. Getting out as much as possible. Again, even in this space of social distancing, I think it's important to just get out and walk the neighborhood. We have a 5-year old, and again, we've already talked about the importance of routine, but it's also, important to just get out and stretch your legs and clear your head a little bit. Just to enjoy life, enjoy family, to make sure that you're staying sharp by actually getting the rest that you need. Because again, uh, you can wear out by continuing to run 90 to nothing and being on fumes, and it causes you not to be as sharp as you would be if you were taking those mental breaks. I think from
Mm.
an education standpoint, another way in which we stay sharp during this time is having conversations with our colleagues and continuing in the spirit of uh, the collaborative work that we're doing to make sure that we are bouncing ideas off of one another. Someone may have a better idea or understanding of how to do something or communicate something digitally than the other person does. So I think it's important that we not work in isolation, but we continue in the spirit of collaboration. we continue in the spirit of making sure we have our downtime and clearing our heads and getting some rest so that we can remain sharp and focused.
That's good. Good advice.
Yeah, I would have to say same thing. Just surrounding myself with awesome educators and those who have different perspectives from myself. Just making sure that I'm hearing from different points of view and taking all of that in. And of course, you know, you talk about cerebral, so always trying to read and just research. I'm always researching and trying to figure out what's the best strategy, what's the cutting edge trend, and you know, staying relevant. Um, but to disconnect is important as well,
Mm,
and unplugging is so very important because before this, you know, as a leader, as a wife, as a mother, you are, I mean, you're just going from one place to the next meeting, to the next recital, to, you know, just, you're just booked and busy, you know, you're just doing everything. And this has really provided me an opportunity to slow down and to reflect. I'm now taking daily walks. I'm now working out every day. Some of my principal friends, we have a workout challenge going on right now. So just Netflix and chilling with my husband. Just doing things that we, you know, haven't had the opportunity to do. Making my house a home. So just, you know, focusing on the things that we just take for granted and that we don't often, um, you know, point our attention to.
that's good. That's good. Serena, what
I
ways
would
are you?
definitely agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, I guess because I don't have any little children at home, I'm an empty nester, and so it's not as hard for me. So when I come home, I'm pretty much most of the time. For me, this has been, I had to be real intentional with unplugging. I've been on the net as well, just watching shows people have asked me to watch for years that I never watched. So now I'm a Grey's Anatomy fan. So I've caught up all 16 seasons in the past 3 weeks. I've caught up. So I have watched from season 1 to season where we are in the 16.
Okay.
So I intentionally just come in, turn my TV on, and I sit there and I watch TV because I'm really not a big TV watcher unless it's Good Times or something. But I've been intentional with catching up on TV shows. I cleaned my garage yesterday, cleaning things around my home because any other time I am reading something. I'm online doing a training. I'm studying something for ministry. I'm preparing for a training for the next week. And so every few hours I say, okay, Serena, no, put that down, put the book down. It's okay. I'm giving myself permission to just be,
Mm,
to
that's
just
good.
be Serena, to just lay down, pull my comforter up to my neck, put my socks on, and just watch TV. And I tell myself, guess what? It's okay. The house is not going to burn down. That's going to get done.
Yeah.
You are fine. It's okay because I'm so OCD and it has to be done right now. I got to do it right now. If I don't do it right now, when I'm learning, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
not that urgent.
That's
It's
good.
not that urgent. So this has really given me some time to be Serena. Be Serena,
Mm,
not Mrs. Dorsey, not mommy, not, all those other titles that are Minister Dorsey. No, just be Serena.
yeah,
Just be
that's good.
Serena. It's okay. It's okay.
I like that. All right, so we're almost done. This is the second to last question. I believe that, you know, for months and maybe even years, we'll be reflecting on the impact this crisis has had on various industries. And we kind of see it right now, but we'll really see it in hindsight. So my question to you as educators is, in what way has this crisis already reshaped education in a way that you hope it never goes back to being the same? Has education already changed, or how do you predict that it's changed in a way that you hope it never goes back to being?
Well, I hope it never
One of
goes
the things
back.
I can say,
Go ahead, Serena.
Go ahead,
We'll
Serena.
start with you.
okay, one of the things I can say, and again, of course, I work in an environment, in a culture where my parents are amazing. So I'm sure in the public sector, you all see difference and varieties in parenting. Whereas for me, my parents are amazing. So they do partner with and things like that. The babies are still little, so they're still interested in their education. They're still investing in their education. And so for me, the whole gamut of education, I hope doesn't go back to parents unplugging. Parents, stay connected to what's happening in the classroom. Stay connected to what your children are doing. Stay connected and interested in their homework and their schedules, their assignments. Stay connected with administration to want to know what's going on. Stay interested on every level of your child's education. You are part of this. You are a part of this. It's not just the teacher or the school, but you are a part of what's going on. And now they see it. You are a prime value to your child's education. So don't disconnect when it goes back to being inside the walls. Come in and volunteer in the schools. Let the teachers know I'm here for you. I support you. We value you on every level. So that's the piece that I'm praying does not go back to parents unplugging and disconnecting when they drop the children off or when they put them on the school bus. Stay connected to what's happening in the schools.
Yes, ma'am. That's good. Dr. Payne, I think you had something to share.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, just the fact of the community. So Serena talked about parents. So I kind of want to talk about the community and how we see and value education. So what this has really shown is that the schools are really the heartbeat of our communities and our cities as it relates to children. Making sure that they are fed, making sure that they have access to medical care, a nurse, you know, um, therapy, psychology, social workers, um, just for people to respect the school and see the value that we as educators bring to this society. I mean,
Yeah,
we're protecting our children. Some of our children are in, and that just, breaks my heart, but some of our children are in environments where they may not be safe. And
mm,
so the school
Yes,
is a hub, it's a
yes,
safe haven, it's a safe place
yes,
where students are able to communicate their needs and tell us the truth. They know that we will protect
yes.
them, they know that we will educate them, they know that we will feed them. So my hope is that
Yes.
people don't forget about how vital education is to our society as it relates to
that's
children.
good.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
Travis, man, in what way do you hope it never goes back?
The thing that has occurred through this pandemic is everyone's technology literacy has increased. I am seeing
Yes.
more innovation as it relates to technology being used by teachers than I've seen ever before. The day and age of sit and get and the teacher standing in front of the room lecturing, are gone. And I hope they stay gone, never to return again, because again, through these digital platforms, teachers are not just lecturing. When I jump in and out of classes during the work week, teachers are not just lecturing. As a matter of fact, there's very little, if any at all, lecture. So the classes are more engaging. There's a buzz. Students are asking questions and really demonstrating their thought process about how to work through different scenarios because they are working collaboratively. And I hope that this never changes. The other thing that no one has spoken about yet is the amount of discipline that we see in schools before the pandemic. No one has been suspended out of school, right, during the pandemic. So again, through all of this, how do we now as educators come up with a different way to deal with students when there are discipline issues as opposed to just suspending them out of school? Yes, I do believe there is a point and a place and a time for separation when there's misbehavior, but there also has to be restoration. So again, during that
Yeah.
period of separation, how are we now better equipped to support students when they may be home on a suspension because we weren't doing this before in terms of all of
Yes.
technology at our disposal, continuing to support students when they're at home serving a suspension. So there's some work that we can do there in terms of just having a paradigm shift in how we handle discipline.
Mm,
Good point.
that's good, man.
Hmm.
And my, and
That's
my
good.
prayer is
That's good.
my prayer is that even through this struggle, God has a gracious way, you know, even allowing adverse circumstances to have beautiful endings to them. And so is that as you all have spoken today, that you're speaking with a voice of prescience, a force of wisdom in advance. And I hope education is better for this, at least in some ways. So here's our final question. Um, and I want to ask this to you as a leader from the perspective of your heart as a leader. What has been your most acute pain during this time? And what has been your sweetest joy during this time? As a leader, if you could speak from the heart as we prepare to close, what has been your most acute pain and what has been your sweetest joy? We'll start with you, Travis.
So real quick, it would have to be knowledge of the fact that through everyone's best efforts, there still are some kids that are going without basic needs being met. Everybody can't get to the school to get a meal. Everybody can't get to the bus stop if that's what they're doing to pick up a snack lunch. There are students that have gone hungry through all of this,
Wow.
and that really and truly causes a sense of angst, a sense of pain, a sense of sorrow that we know when school is in session, students are going to get 2 meals, if not more, per day. The other piece that causes a great deal of sorrow is we live in a day and an age where we are now focused in education on the social emotional health of students, the social emotional well-being of students. And
Mm,
during this pandemic, while students have been isolated, we've heard stories from not just here in Georgia, but across the country of students that have committed suicide, have taken their
mm,
own lives because they don't know how to deal with being isolated.
wow.
I think those two things are the ones that have caused the greatest amount of pain and sorrow. The biggest joy is that I'm seeing a level of camaraderie. I'm seeing a level of, hey, how do we overcome this? How do we continue to do that which we all feel like we've been called to do? I'm also encouraged by, as both ladies have said this evening, the homeschool partnerships that have been established and the appreciation that parents now seem to have a greater appreciation for educators and educators having that same level of mutual respect and appreciation for parents realizing that ultimately for a student to be successful, it's going to take all hands on deck.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Serena, if you could please share with us from your heart what has been your most acute pain and what has been your sweetest joy.
Okay, I would say my pain has been when we really realized that this is the direction that we were going, and this was really happening. When I had to release the staff because we're private, and of course, you know, our parents pay. And so when we came to the conclusion that we were going to suspend the payments for the parents, because we had to consider the fact that, you know, parents were being laid off, parents, you know, didn't have work, and so we couldn't just expect payment. So when we
Mm,
suspended the payment, of course, at that point we couldn't afford to pay the staff. So I had to
yeah.
release the staff, you know, and begin to, you know, file unemployment claims for them that they still have yet to receive, and we're on week 4. So
Wow.
that for me saddens me, as I still communicate with them, and they're still reaching out, and they're still collaborating with parents, and they're still sending lessons every day, but they're not being paid.
Mm,
That saddens me for my team and for my staff. That's my pain when it comes to them. Now, when I look at my sweet spot, for me, it's reconnecting with Serena. You know, just the person of Serena,
yeah.
outside of the leader, outside of the minister, outside of the daughter, outside of all those roles that I play.
That's
But
good.
just connecting with Serena again and giving myself permission to be her. And it's
Yeah.
okay to be her. And if I don't want to put on any clothes today, I can keep my jogging pants
Yeah.
on all day, and it's
Right.
okay. You know,
Right.
I
Yeah.
can do that, and I don't feel guilty about that. My other piece is the hope that I have. The hope that
Mm,
I have, knowing that we're here for a reason, and my hope is in God. I trust him. I trust to know that there's some good that's going to come from this. You know, many may not know the fee, but our school has been here before. We've had to do an immediate closure back in 2018 because we had a major flood. We shut down immediately, but God. And when
yeah.
we came back bigger, we came back better. So my hope is in him, that
Yeah.
it's going to be bigger and better. It's going to
Yeah.
be bigger and better. And so I stand on that. I hold fast to that. I just keep smiling. I just keep smiling through it.
That's awesome. And I appreciate you so much for bringing up Jed. School has been not just with this crisis, but you had a very specific crisis that didn't close down other schools but yours. And
Yes.
commend you. You know, I know God saw us through it. You had a great team around you, but your leadership, watching you grow through that, as you also had to go through that, was just amazing. So thank you so much. That way, Dr. Payne, we'll end with you. If you could please just share with us your most acute pain through this and your sweetest joy.
Yeah, my most acute pain is what you know what was said earlier about um, the students who we have not been able to make any contact with, despite multiple efforts. You know, are they eating? What are they eating? Are they safe? You know, just that's my what keeps me up at night is,
Mm,
are their needs being met? Are they scared? You know, are they lonely?
mm,
Um, because I was the first one that they see coming in, and so I was able to tell if they had a bad night, something was wrong, if there was a mark on their face, so I was able to kind of intercede on their behalf for all of their issues and be their advocate. And that has been taken away. So
yeah.
make just their basic needs. Are they healthy? Are they happy? Are they safe? That pains me. And then on the other side of that, our fifth graders, our eighth graders, our seniors, not being able to have a normal end of year celebration activities. The prom is gone. Graduation is gone. You know, and for some of our students, they had to go through a lot to get
Wow.
to the end of that road, and not being able to celebrate that in a traditional way is just heartbreaking.
It
Because
is.
you know that's something that you look forward to. It's a
Yeah.
rite of passage, and to not be able to go through that. You know, some of the students feels like it's kind of stripped them away of those
Yeah.
things. Like you talked about isolation and depression setting in. So that's painful to me to know that there are students who are you know, in those situations. And then my greatest joy is just being with my family, being able to see that all of the strategies that we talk about with our students, I'm able to utilize those with my own child and see her learning and taking ownership of her learning, and just being there to watch her grow and just see her things that I wouldn't normally see. And just spending time both with her and my husband are very important. And it's been a way for us to reconnect and re-engage in our relationship. So that has been um, a definite sweet spot for me.
That's awesome. Listen, this has been a rewarding dialogue and time for me. Uh, I'm thankful to each of you, all the educators who are watching, to you three friends of mine who I respect as professionals. Thank you so much for setting aside this time out of your day. And as stated before, this is going to stay up on my Facebook page. It's public now. You can share it with any educators you know that you want to encourage through this. I'm going to also put it on my YouTube as well here in a couple of days. I want to take time just to stop and to affirm each of you as leaders, as thinkers, as fighters, as intellects. All of the above has been on full display tonight. But above all of that, as humans, you have displayed your humanity tonight, your heart and compassion for your coworkers and colleagues and students. And I'm so grateful as a parent who has three students. My three boys are in public schools. I grew up in public schools with APS schools. I'm just grateful that we still have people who are really engaged from a heart standpoint in education. Listen, I know
Yes.
that they took prayer out of schools, but we're not in the school right now.
That's
So
right.
let me go ahead and just
That's
let
it.
me fund
That's
church and
it.
state.
That's it.
Let me pray for you as we close.
That's
God,
Appreciate
it.
it.
we humble ourselves before you now. We thank you so much for this time we have. Lord, we
Thank
trust
you,
you
Lord.
in all of this. This is bigger than us. This is bigger than any one individual can figure out. This COVID crisis that's going on all over the world. But God, we're sensitive to how this crisis has rearranged life as we know it. It's created many battlefronts, and one of those battlefronts are
Yes.
education. God, education was already in dire need of um, improvement, of more resources, of better leadership from a national perspective. And so, God, we just pray not only for the issues this crisis has caused in education, but for issues that were already lingering, that were already in need of being addressed. And so, God, I thank you for these three leaders and what they represent. To me, they represent that you still have people that you sent, that you anointed, that you blessed, that you prepare to lead on the front lines of education, whether it's a crisis or not. And I lift them up before you. I lift up Travis Joshua. I lift up Dr. Anyee Payne. I lift up Serena Dorsey. I pray for them now, God, that you would encourage their hearts as leaders, build them up, that you will bless them and their families during this time. And those that they serve and lead, that those parents and families and students and faculty and staff would be grateful to have such magnificent leaders. Every educator who's watching, we pray for them as well. I thank you even for the educators in my family who serve to take care of other people's children. We pray for our students now, for those who are without food, those who are in unstable emotional environments, those who are in low socioeconomic environments. God, we need you to perform a miracle, and would you use our community to do it? May churches rise up. May compassionate people rise up. May people with big heart and generous hands rise up to help meet needs in ways that our students are in need of. We thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank
Appreciate
you
y'all
guys.
so much. Y'all have a good night.
Thank
Peace
you.
and blessings.
Thank you for having us.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.